I'm inviting Dr. Saleena, Madam Government of Bangkok. This is another wonderful happiness for me because hundreds of my students inviting my teacher to join for the presentation online. She is presenting from Japan. She has taught me towards the end of my graduation in law in Government of College, Bangkok. Still, he is teaching in Bangkok. Of course, we were together in the seminar Bangkok in the month of August last year. We had a very much happy moments here. So it's a privilege and pleasure to invite Madam Saleena to deliver the presentation by our please, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Girish. It's a big pleasure for me to be getting invited by my student. Okay, good afternoon, one and all. And today I'll be presenting a topic. My topic is workplace sexual harassment. And as Dr. Girish has already stated, last year I got an opportunity to present an offline presentation at this global research conference, which is held at Bangkok. And this time, and of course, I enjoyed the hospitality and the support given by Prakash sir, Dr. Girish. Everyone was very supportive. And this year, this year also, I got the opportunity to present it in an online mode. Anyway, big thanks for all that. And now moving on to my presentation, I will be doing a PowerPoint presentation. And on this particular topic, that is sexual harassment in the workplace, and which everybody knows that it is a relevant topic and also a perpetual one whose scope, nature, and how loopholes are ever expanding, irrespective of a comprehensive legislation. We all know that a big legislation has come up in 2013, and also a spate of judicial decisions in this regard. And in this presentation, what I am intending is to give an analysis of the this act, which is otherwise known as the POSH Act. In short, we will be mentioning it as a POSH Act, and also what is the sexual workplace sexual harassment and like that. I will be going to the PowerPoint presentation. Please inform that we are receiving it or not.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, it is visible. Very good, very good. And sexual and just one second. Okay, sexual harassment in the workplace is my and next. We're moving to the slides. Yes, and in this section, we will be looking into sexual harassment in workplace, that is POSH Act 2013 analysis, and the sexual harassment. Which is as said by Swami Vivekananda, country and the nation which do not respect women has never become great, nor will ever be in the future. And so sexual harassment can be defined as any unwelcome approaches that a woman doesn't like it or that create objectionable situation. It is discrimination based on gender. I emphasize based on gender, which includes any type of physical, verbal, or sign-oriented abuse, specifically sexual in nature. Now, moving on to my specific topic, workplace sexual harassment. As quoted, we do not want to use the term harassment. What is happening today is sexual terrorism. Workplace sexual harassment can be defined as unwanted conduct of sexual nature or taking undue advantage of the position to create discrimination. Intentionally discriminating between the employees based on their gender becomes commonplace in nowadays corporate world. And such incidents are rapidly increasing all across the world due to the growing corporate participation of women in all sectors, and is creating legal as well as social problems. Women at workplace enters into avocations where they have never seen before for centuries. And they need to work at odd hours with males in their profession, and they have and this is something new for the males also. So they need to work. They are not used to work, these ladies, at the in this new type of professions and this odd hours and like them. So they have to talk to them, and therefore their difference of opinion, disputes and injustice occurs at workplace with women employees. That is what we call sexual harassment. Such incidents of workplace sexual harassment are more prone to developing economies where law related to monitoring and implementations are weak. And most of the women are not so much aware about the laws and their rights, and they are burdened of their family responsibilities and reluctant in bad working environment. As a result of this, employers and superiors are asking for unwanted sexual advances and favors from deprived women. Now moving on to the nature and types of sexual harassment. And already I explained the nature, and the type, that is, it usually happened up at that is sexually exploiting any co-colleague, but also covers types of actions and reaction used at workplace, which includes comments, touch, signs, act, etc. And it can be divided into physical, for example, unwelcoming touch of the body, massaging woman's neck, shoulder, vital parts of the body, or verbal, calling somebody, a colleague, a babe, sweetheart, doll, so and so, and non-verbal, that is through our gestures, elevating eyes upward and downward at someone's body, or other forms like abusing at workplace, biased decision for work, and promotions, transfers, etc. Now, moving on to the Vishaga guidelines. Everybody must have heard about the Vishaga versus State of Rajasthan. It's a very famous Supreme Court decision, which where the Supreme Court has laid down the guidelines for the sexual harassment at the workplace. And it has happened there in 1997 while delivering the landmark judgment of Vishaga versus State of Rajasthan. And this landmark judgment undoubtedly marked a new phase in understanding the phenomena of sexual harassment at workplace, and that has been haunting and violating one of the most fundamental rights of working women in India. And prior to this judgment, there was no precise definition of this workplace sexual harassment, and it becomes a major stumbling block in identifying and punishing the perpetrators of sexual harassment. And this historic judgment came as a writ petition, which is filed by a social activist to an incident of a brutal gang rape of a government development worker in the village of Rajasthan. And it paved the way for the passing of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act, popularly which is known as the POSH Act. And Honorable Supreme Court, while delivering the judgment, decided that in the light of the international conventions, India has been a signatory of many international conventions where we are under obligation to protect the rights of the woman, and norms which are significant for the purpose of interpretation of the guarantee of the gender equality. We are committed to bring about gender equality and right to work with human dignity, which is mentioned in Article 14, 15, 19, 1G and 21 of the Constitution, and all formulated to ensure that there exist safeguard measures against sexual harassment. And again, in another case, soon after the Vishaga judgment in 1997, in 1999, Apparel Export Promotion Council versus AK Chopra, the court observed that since law has been enacted by the Union of India to formulate effective measures to check the evil of sexual harassment at workplace, the contents of the international covenants and norms are significant for the purpose of interpretation of the guarantee of gender equality. Now, mentioning few international covenants, it is that is Global Woman Power, CEDAW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, International Conventions on Women, International Conventions on Civil and Political Rights held in 1966, Convention on the Political Rights of Women, 1952, Declaration on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in 1967, so on and on, which is there in the slide. Now, subsequent to the this Vishaga judgment, after around 18 years, we have to wait till the Parliament has come up with a legislation to ensure workplace safety with equal rights legislation called the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act, and which was ascended by the President on April 2013. And it is a small legislation which is comprising only of 30 sections and 8 chapters. And yes, the objective of this POSH Act are, that is threefold objective, mainly threefold objective: prohibition of sexual harassment at the workplace, preventing and protecting women against workplace sexual harassment, and to ensure effective redressal of complaints of workplace sexual harassment. These are the main objective of the legislation. And the statute aims at providing every woman a safe, secure, and dignified working environment free from all forms of harassment. Now, moving on to the key provisions of the POSH Act. Section 3 is providing for the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, and Act has become more or less adopted the definition given in the Vishaga guidelines, that is, which was passed by the Supreme Court in 1997. And that was this Vishaga definition was taken from CEDAW, and so which is a rather inclusive definition. And it not only covers the preferential and detrimental treatment in employment, but also covers implied or overt threat about the future, present or future employment status, quid pro quo, and hostile working environment, and every kind of humiliating contact causing health and safety problems. Now, the next section, which is important to worth mentioning, is internal committee. In accordance with Section 4 of POSH Act, every office or organization employing 10 employees or more must have an internal committee. We are all aware that in the universities and everywhere this internal committee is there and dedicated to the hearing and the resolving sexual harassment complaint. And in the internal complaints committee, there is a composition clearly mentioning that there must be 50% of the committee shall be women and comprising of minimum of 4 persons, and the presiding officer must be a senior employee, and there must be senior women employee, and minimum of 2 employees as members committed to the cause of women, and there should be an outside member which is a non-governmental belonging to any non-governmental organization. And again, coming to the local committee, Section 5 is mentioning about it. It is set up when the employees are lesser than 10 employees in an organization, there should be a local committee. And to investigate and respond to complaints of sexual harassment from the unorganized sector. This is specifically for the unorganized sector, like labor costs, that is domestic workers, agriculture workers, like that, where the internal committee could not be formed because the employees were less than 10%. And the composition of the LC is also, that is the local committee is also provided in the Act, which says that a chairperson, 2 members, that is all in the slide. You can see it in the slide. And now coming on to the next provision, that is how to file a complaint. Sexual harassment complaints at work can be lodged either with the internal committee or the local committee in accordance with the situation. And the procedure is that aggrieved woman may file a complaint of sexual harassment within 3 months of the date of the incident. And in case of a repeated incident, within 3 months of the most recent incident. Internal complaints committee or the local committee may extend the time limit if the aggrieved woman is not able to. So they are having the power to extend the time limit. But usually it has to be filed within 3 months. That is a provision. And also Section 10 is mentioning about conciliation, and internal committee or the local committee can attempt to resolve a complaint between the parties at the request of the aggrieved woman through conciliation by reaching an amicable settlement. And also this is the that is grievance redressal process. It is there in the slide. This is how it happens. And then again, moving on to the interim, there is also provision for giving interim relief to the complainant. And also the local committee or the internal committee can recommend interim measures. That is, they can give leave to the aggrieved woman relocation of the agreed woman or the respondent, they can change their working. They can be transferred like that, and the respondent will not be allowed to comment or give certificate over their performance of this victim woman, like that. There are certain provision. And among again coming to the punishment, the employer may punish an employee in the following ways. That is, an employer or so if he is a service employee, persons belonging to the organized service rules, then he can be punished in accordance with the organized service rules. And also he can be asked to give the apology, warning, reprimand, withholding of promotion, withholding of pay, etc. are all provided in the POSH Act. Again, coming to the compensation, Section 15 also provide for the compensation, and in determining the compensation, affected employees' mental trauma, pain, suffering, and emotional distress is taken into consideration, and loss of career opportunity, etc. also will be considered while deciding the compensation. Again, the act is contained. We know that nowadays this act is being misused by a lot of women, and therefore there are certain provisions in the act preventing the false or malicious complaint and false evidence. So under Section 14, such actions will be taken against a complainant who falsely or maliciously use the protections. And according to POSH Act, disciplinary action can be taken in accordance with the service rules of the organization against a complainant whose allegations have been found to be false. And so then, okay, confidentiality provision is also there in the act. And the sensitivity, because of the sensitivity, there is high priority on maintaining confidentiality throughout the process. So these are the main provisions. And also there are provisions, specific provisions relating to the employer. Employers is having liability, and the POSH Act imposes a penalty up to rupees 50,000 under Section 26 if the employer fails to constitute an internal committee. And there is vicarious liability on the part of the employer. And again, in one case, that is US Verma Principal Delhi Public School Society versus National Commission of Women, it has been held that employers have a personal responsibility. Yes.
Madam.
Hello.
The chair as well as convener, both are your students. We cannot restrict you in terms of time.
Okay. Okay. Just I just wanted to have a little loopholes of the act also I have to mention. Just 1 minute, can I have 1 or 2 minutes?
Yes, please, ma'am, please.
Yes, please. Okay, loopholes. I just wanted to mention the loopholes also. This 10 years it has been passed, but various loopholes have arisen. And women continue to suffer because there is gender neutrality is not maintained in the act. Only the women are there, and it is so act eliminates the opportunity for the redressal of complainant raised by the LGBTQ community or the men. It is specifically mentioning about that traditional concept of employer being the man and employee being the woman, that is still maintained, and we know that its relevance is getting reduced day by day. So LGBTQ community or the male, it is not considered in the act. And there is also for the woman, there is a fear of retaliation. They refuse to file complaint under this act because they may feel that they will be victimized by their peer groups, seniors, or the employers there. So that because of that, still that fear of retaliation is there. And especially in the that is informal sector, in the domestic workers, that all area, agricultural sectors, they consider it as a trivial thing and refuse to ignore it. They are not coming up with this kind of complaints, and this is revealed by many studies. National Women's Commission also come up with a study in 2020 where there clearly says that only 260 cases were registered, which we know that it is totally impossible in our present scenario. And there are also many procedural and technical drawbacks of the act, that is and loopholes, limited And there is also Charan judicial decision also come after 2009-13, which is mentioned Gaurav Jain versus Hindustan Latex, Rajika Singh Sabra versus Air France India, all these decisions. And conclusion, we can say that safe workplaces are a right and it is not a privilege. And many incidents of sexual harassment at workplaces never see the light of the day despite the availability of all these measures. And there are a lot of frivolous complaints also. So we cannot say that this 2013 Act is successful in dealing with the issues relating to the workplace harassment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm sorry that I took a little more time.
Okay, ma'am. Actually, whenever I tell the people, our student teachers level, people are having several doubts because I had to tell that we were myself as Advocate Nissan, who is chairperson of this session. Both were in the final year of LLB batch when ma'am has just joined her career in her early 20s as a postgraduate in the college. And we were fortunately the students of Saleena ma'am. And people are having doubts about my teacher-student relationship with Bhavana also. Bhavana Rao sitting on the dais. He's a teacher. What happens is, when I joined Delhi University, I was the evening LLB college. So many students of mine had been of different age groups. I had students from almost 20 years to 84 years of age. It was the age range of students of mine in Delhi University. Bhavana, we are of almost of the same age. Very happy to have Bhavana, Saleena ma'am, Nisa, everyone around.